Hey, Ancestry Cousins and Inquiring Minds. We on story number 3. This is with my grandma, my great grandmother, Frances Norman. She would become Frances Norman Johnson. But as I said before, she was born about 1897, but she was not included in the 1900 census with her mother, who was still going by the name Emma Keith, although she was married to Charles Norman in 1897. All right, so she's first in the 1900 census, and she's living with her mother, showing that she's 14 years old. So she should have been counted in the 1900 census. And they're living on East Street, Northwest, 20th in need. And Emma is saying that she's a widow. Like I said before, she was saying she was a widow. And she's listed as a laundress. So her and Frances, she's 31, Emma's 31, and Frances is 14. Okay, so we're going to go to 1920 because we're building up the story here. So by now it's, where we go. I clicked on it wrong, then made it too big. Let's go back. I hate when you click on it and then it moves the thing down. You make it too big, then you can't find it because it's not highlighted. All right, let's view the image. Why didn't it come out as green? Oh, it's way down the bottom. That's why. Okay, my eyes. So, friends. Okay, Emma Norman is saying she's widowed. She's 38. She was born in Maryland. Her mother and father were born in Virginia. I think I said that before. They were Anna Thornton and Daniel Keith. Okay, so Frances is 21. She says she was born in Washington City. Then they have some rumors, 3 rumors that's living with them in this house that they're renting. And at 7, it says here 7:15, but it's actually 7:17 that it would be, I would see on other city directories. That's why I know the address. So anyway, and if you looked at the enumeration district 0047 and scroll down, you would see that location is DC precinct between Church, Orphanage Street, St. John Orphanage, bounded by Pennsylvania Avenue, 17th and G, 20th, H, 21st, in Northwest. So, okay, we're going to go back to 1930. I'm doing this for a reason. You'll find out in just a little while. Okay. So, 1930, we have Frances Johnson. She's the head. She's renting a house. And she's 32. She's married. And what is that one right there? 20. I don't know what that 20 is for. Age of marriage. It says 20. Age of first marriage, 20. I never noticed that before. Jeez, I swear every time I look at this thing, I be looking at, I see something different. Okay, then it's Irma, which is my grandmother. And it says she was born in D.C. Her father was born in Pennsylvania. This little stuff is going to be important. And then it's Norma, which is Aunt Norma. My mama told me about her, and I met her before. It said her father because they said they got the same father. Then there's Emma. That's Grandma Emma, Frances' mother, who was Emma Keith. Says she's 49. She was a widow. Says she was born in Maryland, and her mother and father were born in Virginia. Then we have, under that was John H. They have it as his last name is Norman, because it just says Norman, like Emma is his mother. It says mother, says John H. is the brother of Frances Johnson. Okay, so if you didn't notice, Frances' name is not Norman anymore, it's Johnson. And she's 32, married, so she got married when she was 20, which I didn't notice that before. Wow. Okay, so we're going to go back. So it says she's married. Okay, 1930. 1940. You're in my video. You keep walking in my videos. Okay. Just letting you know. There's Francis. No, wait a minute. Where we at? So here we have, this is 1940. We have Cleon Johnson. He's the head. He's 50. He was born in D.C., but he wasn't born in D.C. That's not true. Okay, we have Frances N. That's an M. That's N. Wife. She's 42. She was born in D.C. You have Irma, daughter. So she's 18. She was born in D.C. Norman, son, which it should have been Norma, should have been daughter. She's 15. And then you have Norman Johnson, or Johnson Norman. It says stepson, and he's 29. Then you have Norman Emma. It says mother-in-law, and she's 63, and she's a widow, and she was born in Maryland. Okay, so if you look back at all of that stuff that I said, you should know that in 1930, Francis was listed as Francis Johnson, but Cleon wasn't there. And there's a Johnson Norman that's listed as stepson, but it was listed as something else the previous one. So let's go back. So 1950, Francis Johnson is listed here with Robert Lynch, Irma, the wife, my mother, and mother-in-law, and John Norman, which is the brother-in-law. So Robert Lynch is saying that John Norman is his brother-in-law. So that would make John Norman and Irma's brother. Okay. So I'm gonna show you another record for it. Let me go to this record right here. So my mother had told me all these stories. She was telling me Uncle Johnnie. She included Uncle Johnnie with this, and I'm like, who is Uncle Johnnie? You know. And so she told me, and I'm looking at these records, and they're deceptive. So we look at John Harris. We're going to just look at specifically at what John Harris is in here. It's a John H. Norman, looking at from his perspective. So, so he's living with Frances, not till 1930. This is the first time I find him. It says he's her brother. He's 19. She's 32. He's her brother. It says Emma is the mother. So, and she's a widow. So it's like Emma is John's mother. And Frances is 32 and 19. So I'm going to show you something with some math here. Come on, I need a calculator. Not that calendar. I forgot I was recording. I'm in my own head. Okay, that's too big. I get to put the whole screen. I forgot what I was searching for anyway. I don't need you. Get out of the way. Alright. You're in the way too. I don't even know what that was. Alright, so I said 1930. So she said she's so 19. So wait. Clear. Oh, this is a scientific calendar. That's gonna mess me up. 32 subtract 19 equals 13. 13. Okay, so she was about 12 or 13 when she had John. So Grandma Emma took the responsibility of saying that was her son until they got older, and then it shifted. So that's something that, you know, I had to keep looking in the records trying to figure out what they were saying. Now you can look at it again. You go back through them records and I'll show you another one that what it did. So we're looking at that. So let's look at 1940 for John Harris. For 1940, so it has, remember, Cleon is the head of the household, and Francis M, Irma, Norman, it's Norma. Then it got Johnson Norman, which is John Norman, stepson. So that would mean stepson Cleon. So that would mean Francis's son, not Emma's son. All right, let's go back again. Let's go to 1950. So then he said, so they shifted it from, but it was this is World War II record, which it took me a long time to figure out his actual name, because how they kept interchanging his name with Norman. And so he was living at 1448 P Street Northwest, in apartment number 1. We know this from Grandma Emma's obit. His name is listed as John Harris, son Norman, but the O-N is scratched out. Says he was born 4/7/1911. So he should have been on the 1920 census with Grandma Frances. Why was he not listed? Again, they was not listed. He's living at 1448 P Street. But who is the person should contact as his primary contact? It says Emma Norman is his mother. So, and his sign at the bottom is a signature, John Harris Norman. Okay. So she had a child out of wedlock, really young, very young age, and it was hidden. So until he got older, and so how I really figured that out was, with the interchanging of the names, is when I was talking to my mother, and I would. She said I was interrogating her. But anyway, I asked her, like, all these people she remembered that she called aunts and uncles and, everything like that. And so I started researching them, like looking through newspapers and doing that genealogy and stuff like that and tracing it back. So when I see that we don't come up with a DNA match with people, I'll be like, that's not a true story. So, and this has happened, I had to tell her a couple of times already, no. So, for John Harris, his name is not Norman. This is what his spinal obit said was. One thing I did notice, too, is that people's names, like, they could interchange them without even changing, like, any documentation back in the days. I would tell you another story about a name change and just be like, what happened there anyway? So I find his obit. His name is John Harris. He's listed as an address that my mom had told me that they lived at 312 Elm Street Northwest. He's listed as the brother of Norma Thomas. She's married at least once. And the nephew of Mildred Cook and my mother. And so that told me, I was like, all this time I'm looking for John Norman, but his name in the obit, or what they finally said his name was John Harris. And so, it's just, I guess, so with stuff like that, through your family history, the secrets, if you're not really paying attention and diligently looking at the history or whatever. So part of that is that those people that my mother was telling me was relatives, and I did some deep newspaper research on some of them. And woo, child, I was like, ooh, these are good old stories here, but you just look at my tree and see them. I'm not going to do those little stories on some of them. Because I was contacted by one of their relatives and was like, where did you get this information from? And I was like, Isn't it obvious? There's newspapers, I mean, these clippings. I may or may not have sourced it at that time because back then Ancestry added a lot of little stuff on the side that I'd be like, yeah, if I have it, I'll go back and do it. But I'm satisfied to know that I at least have this, have the newspaper articles and stuff. I may not have the exact dates, but I do know that most of the newspaper articles I got from Chronicling America, they when I do a search or something like that, it comes out in red. So those clippings, I know it came from Chronicling America. Now the date in the newspaper, I mean, I know. So yeah, so just to make sure. Oh, and the other part was that those people that she told me, were our family and all that stuff, no, they were Uncle Johnnie's family because, that was his father's family, no relation to us. And so, again, I was like, well, that's a dead end. Ain't no cousins over there. So I just keep it searching, and I'll see you next time. But the next story I got for you, I'm going to switch it up, and we're going to go back to the Civil War. See you next time. Thank you for watching.